We're back with you, America. Bill Martinez here. Great to have you with us, sharing a part of your day. For more information on the show, BillMartinezLive.com. That is our address. With us right now is Troy Miller. Troy is the president and CEO of NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters. Troy, great to be talking with you again. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, a lot is hanging in the balance here for this great democratic republic. And just like when it started, this great American idea, at the very foundation were people of faith. And I, like you, have been encouraging people of faith to get in the arena, get in the fight. We need people of faith to make a difference, especially in this election, don't we?
Oh, we certainly do. We need them to really step up and live out their values, live out what you believe. Don't just sit back on the sidelines and for heaven's sake, don't be ashamed to live out your faith in politics and the political sphere. That's what this country, as you said, was founded on. It wasn't for the what they called the Black Robe Regiment. We might not have a country today.
Yeah, and let's unwrap that a little bit because some people in their history lessons did not understand or were taught about the significance of the black-robed regiment of pastors who made their voices known and were cheering on for the sake of freedom, these Judeo-Christian principles that were the woof and woof of our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution.
Yeah, that's right. They were preaching from the pulpits across the country the truth of what was going on and the truth of the foundations behind the principles of establishing this country and those Christian foundations and principles. And if it wasn't for those pulpits, they were the megaphone of the day. They were the communicators to do that. And look, quite honestly, I'll just say it. We need more pulpits to be that megaphone today as well.
Well, without a doubt, because when you look throughout history, the pulpits are one of the first targets of totalitarian governments. They have got to close the influence and the voices of reason. And when they're able to do that, then they're able to overrun the people, are they not?
Oh, absolutely. That's the first thing that you look across any of these communist countries, or you said totalitarian countries. The first thing they have to shut down is religion. They have to shut that down because of the voice, as you said, of reason, but also because of the hope that religion provides outside the government. They want you to be dependent upon them and the government for all of your hope, for all of your information, for everything you get. And you can't do that in a truly Christian country because we find our hope in something other than this world.
Exactly. And Troy, we know the empirical evidence has demonstrated time and again that roughly about 50% of evangelicals across the board, only 50% will bother to register to vote. And I'm told that of that 50%, only 50% of them will actually vote. I mean, this is the problem. I mean, sometimes, people are wrong thinking and they have this perception that somehow, that they're not supposed to be in the fight. But Jesus made it real clear in the parables that there will be that time when the master comes back to check and see, what the servants are doing. Are you being faithful to the mission? And if you're not, then the master is not going to be real happy with you.
Yeah, and I like to go back to, what James said in his epistle. He said, look, he said, you might say you have faith, but if you don't put it to work, if you don't put it to action, then what kind of faith do you have? My faith is shown out through my action, not just through some rhetoric that I do. And look, the left does a really good job. You have to give them credit for what they do of shaming Christians of not being involved in the political sector and process. This constitutional republic we have that God gave us, that most Christians I find believe this. They believe we have a constitutional republic given to us by God. Right. If God gave it to us, then he would really certainly should want us to live out the process. And so the Democratic side of this, to vote, our option to vote, I tell people today, think of it this way. If you think you can sit on the sidelines because some moral high ground that you're taking of not being involved in politics, then is that really loving your neighbor to leave them to the policies and to the leadership and to the governance of ungodly people. Is that what we should do as Christians? No, of course not. We should never look at our neighbors. How are we going to love our neighbors if we let them fall under ungodly, and in this case, evil kinds of governance in this country? Christians have to get over that and realize we're called to protect those who are not Christians, to protect those who are come under these evil influences. How else are we going to share the gospel if we give up our ground in governance of this country?
Well, look what's happened. I mean, people of faith have backed away. We've got gender reassignment. We've got all
Yep.
this crazy chaos that's going on in our culture today. And so you want to maintain your supposed self-assigned moral high ground here when it's going to hell in a handbasket, and you're just sitting there waiting for Jesus to come back. I don't think so. I believe that there is a higher calling, and as you said, why would God choose America of all the countries that God could have chosen in order to disseminate the gospel message? It was America. It was an answer to the prayer of pilgrims before us for years. For years, Troy, they prayed that God would give them a land in which they could practice their faith, without government interference. And God answered that call. And as John Winthrop said, he saw us as being that light on a hill. And we have, I mean, look at how many missionaries, how
Right.
many have we sent out to promote the gospel message because of the prosperity and the success of this great American idea.
That's exactly right. This country was blessed by God for well over 200 years
Exactly.
for its faithfulness to God. And what did we do with that blessing? American Christianity sent out more missionaries around the world, which changed cultures everywhere for the better. They've sent out more charity. American Christians have given more dollars to help the world than NGOs have ever done to help the world. And all of that education, the medical field, childcare, every social service you can have that has any kind of performance has a Christian foundation behind it. And look at what he said. Once we made that turn to this secular world and turned our back on God, what have we promoted now in this country? We don't even know what a difference between a man and a woman is. We
Sadly,
don't know that
yes.
marriage belongs to men and women. The core family is breaking down across this country. We can't protect life. I look at what's going on in Europe because I travel a lot of what's going on in Europe and Canada. And if
Mhm.
we don't wake up today, that's knocking on our door right now.
Exactly. And Craig, I understand you've made several trips to Israel. God bless you for doing this. And what can you tell us? We got a couple of minutes left here. What is your eyewitness report on what's happening in Israel?
Well, first of all, anybody who denies what happened on October 7th are like Holocaust deniers. They're just fools. They just hate Jewish people. The Jewish people feel really isolated, but our last trip over there was to tell them, look, thousands of churches across this country are standing with you, praying with you. We are beside you. We support you. And Israel is ready to stand, even if it takes it on its own because of this administration, to stand up for evil. And as Christians, we should be behind them 100%. Because if they lose, we're next.
Well, exactly. That's the thing that I keep reminding people. And you get these young kids on these college campuses, screaming, from the river to the sea. And you go, hello, do you realize what you're asking for? First of all, the river to the sea was initially God's declaration for Israel, the river to the sea. It's
Right.
hijacked by the Palestinians, and they do so with the destruction of Israel in mind. But it's Israel first and America second. You are an American, and you are saluting and cheering for your own demise. I mean, this is insane, isn't it?
It's absolutely insane, and especially insane for these young liberals who wouldn't last a day in these extremist Islamic communities. They wouldn't last an hour even in there. The fact that they're doing that, and like you said, they don't even understand what the river to the sea is. They don't understand there's no such thing as the West Bank. Jesus walked in Judea and Samaria. That's the land that God gave to Israel. That's the creator of the universe, picked this section of land and gave it to his people. And it dates back far, far longer than anybody else might look at today. And look at, again, an issue that we're working hard to help Christians understand.
Exactly. Troy Miller, we got to leave it there. Appreciate the time. Troy is the president and CEO of the National Religious Broadcasters. Thank you, Troy. Take care.
Take care.